As predicted, Spider-Man is the biggest domestic opening movie of all time. I couldn't stand what they did on Sunday when the headlines from the trades all gave it to Endgame and said, you know, Spider-Man comes in close number 2. And I said, wait a minute, these numbers are not done yet. And these numbers, by the way, that you're seeing on the screen are not done yet. They've got all the zeros, but they've gone ahead and raised the estimate for the weekend. And Spider-Man Brand New Day is now the biggest domestic opening ever. I believe Endgame was at 358, if I recall correctly. So 360, it might be 356, but 360 clears it. And so Spider-Man is number 1. Hoorah, go Spider-Man, go Tom Holland. It's a great film. Give it a 9.7 out of 10. Okay. Now, all that said, Spider-Man is the biggest brand on the planet. There's nothing else that comes close at this point. In fact, Star Wars, Mandalorian Grogu, in its entire run, the latest Star Wars film made about the same amount that Spider-Man made in one day. Mandalorian Grogu made $345. Spider-Man made $345 in a day, probably, okay? Talking about globals. All right, so here's the problem. Disney has a lot of land dedicated to Star Wars. Erika, I don't know if you've heard about that. They built some Star Wars stuff in their parks. You've heard about that before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ron, you heard about that?
It was something, but it leaves me on the edge.
Yeah. Well, yeah, good grief. There's blue milk and green milk, and well, the green milk's probably gone. And you know, they got a little itty bitty land over at Disneyland. Talking about California Adventure, dedicated to Avengers Campus, with a single Spider-Man ride, but they don't have a lot of land, and they're not going to do any more Spider-Man stuff. Now, everybody just think about this with me, okay? Because Disney, one would think, has, even if they don't have the theatrical rights, they have the property rights to the biggest brand on the planet, Spider-Man. And they essentially cannot do anything with that brand in their domestic theme parks. In Disneyland, due to size and due to the planning of this, they thought Avengers was going to be the biggest thing, so they don't have the ability to add anything more Spider-Man. And at Walt Disney World, they're not even allowed to add anything Spider-Man because of the contract with Universal. Now, here's what's interesting, though, and this is what's so amazing to me. Universal also cannot take advantage of any of this because they are stuck. They can't change anything on their Marvel Superhero Island land. Audio turn off. We don't need you to play. They can't change anything in this area. They can't, so they can't bring in Tom Holland to do an update to the ride because of the way the contracts are set for Spider-Man, the biggest brand on the planet. Disney can do whatever they want with Star Wars. They can add, they can take away, they can do anything. But when it comes to Spider-Man, they're stuck. They got nothing. And neither can Universal. So we are squandering the biggest brand on the planet because of contracts from 20, 30 years ago. There's a man who knows all about this. I'd like to bring him on right now. They call him the legend, the myth, the man of the hour. Man of the hour, sorry. Culture, could you talk to us about Spider-Man and the strange situation here where it is easily the biggest brand on the planet? And Culture, you may not have seen the breaking news. I'll put it back on the screen. This just happened to Culture. Spider-Man officially number 1, bigger than Endgame.
As predicted in my video that I dropped this morning, this was definitely going to revise up and become the biggest domestic opening we've ever seen for a superhero. And you know what? It deserves it. It was well done. It was something fun. It gave the fans what they wanted, and so the fans enjoyed it and made it as big as it is. But for all of that and everything else that's on the business side of this equation, the biggest disappointment for all the companies involved that have any ownership rights at all to Spider-Man is going to be the fact that nobody can actually do anything with it at the theme parks. So
how crazy is this, Culture?
It's insane.
How crazy is this that they cannot capitalize on the biggest brand on the planet? Now, they've given an entire land to Avatar. They've given an entire land to Star Wars.
Yeah.
They've given an entire land to Avengers. They can't do anything with Spider-Man. None of them can do anything with Spider-Man. Now, they can do it overseas, and they should. But this is wild to me that they and the investors should be furious about these contracts and the fact that they've not been reconfigured yet.
Okay, real quickly, let me revise some of those talking points real quick.
Please.
One, at Disneyland, DCA, they have Avengers Campus. Part of that is a Spider-Man attraction.
Right, but they can't do anything else because they're locked in due to land issues.
Well, they're locked in for a lot of other reasons as well. But it's
Anaheim and they don't get along with the locals real well these days, eh?
They used to. They used to own everybody that was part of the city council. Now they don't anymore. And look, I love Spider-Man. It's one of he was for a long time my very favorite superhero. So the fact that it's doing so well, selfishly, I'll just say I'm glad. But at the same time, it is the biggest property that Disney can't exploit, that Universal can't exploit, that any of the other previous rights holders can't exploit. And that's absolutely sad. And I'm going to tell you that the attraction that they built at Avengers Campus is one of the most disappointing attractions you can participate in. You get a workout and worn out trying to do this web slinging thing.
Well, it's basically Toy Story Mania mixed with pretending to be a mime.
On Connect. Yeah, you're doing this with the
that's even better than Connect from Xbox from about 10 years ago. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's like, well, yeah, but you can buy upgrades for your theme park ride experience. I'm like, what now?
Yeah. Well, so Erika, they've got one ride at Disneyland and California Adventure. Yeah. They've already set aside all this space down here. It's being worked on to add new stuff, but none of it is Spider-Man. So this is it. Like, and to show people just how ridiculous we have things are. For this film that is the biggest film of all time for a domestic opening and number 2 globally. This is a huge, unbelievable film. Any company would this is like hitting the lottery. This is what Disney has for Spider-Man, Brand New Day in their parks. You ready? WDW News Today reporting this. Erika Conrad, Spider-Man themed Spider-Bot. That's that little thing there. Special Uno cards and more. Okay, let's see. What do we got here? You can get a zip-up hoodie, a Spider-Bot, Uno cards, Guardians of the Galaxy mission. Oh, come on, seriously? And this is the level they went to. This blows my mind. If you're at Disneyland today and you want some Spider-Man merch for Brand New Day, you got a Disneyland D with a spider web behind it. You're welcome. Erika, they have completely and totally botched this. And I think because they thought Avengers was going to be huge and Sony was going to do whatever they're going to do with Spider-Man, and suddenly Sony has completely upstaged them.
Okay. You guys, this might be controversial. People may not like what I'm about to say. I'm a Disney purist. This is not Disney. It does not belong in any of your parks. Get rid of it.
What about Winnie the Pooh, Erika? Does Winnie belong?
Disney. That belongs.
Okay.
But all this Marvel stuff, Star Wars, I'm sorry. That's just, you bought it. You didn't create it. It doesn't belong in your parks. That's just me. I've been that way for years.
Well, the good news is, Erika, they really can't add any more of Spider-Man to their parks.
Because Disneyland, that little Marvel, whatever area, is the ugliest thing I've ever seen for a Disney park. I'm like,
it really is. It really is. Ron, they've got the little animatronic that does the flipperooskies and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, the idea that they put an entire land for Pandora that they don't own, Avatar, and they can't do anything with Spider-Man, then Universal can't either. They're stuck too. There's nothing good happening. Like, Brand New Day is not driving more people to go ride Spider-Man and Universal. So like everybody in the theme park business is losing by these contracts.
Well, in a sense, but I will say this. I do think that just the idea that Spider-Man is, again, a thing right now, popular right now, it is going to much more likely drive people to Universal Islands of Adventure than Walt Disney World, because if you want to go see Spider-Man and you're in Florida, you got to go to Universal. They've got you've got a meet and greet with Spider-Man there. I don't know contractually what that Spider-Man is allowed to say when it comes to like questions that he might get asked about, the MCU stuff. So he may not be able to contractually say much. But the land at Universal does it's got the more 1990s aesthetic, the cartoon aesthetic. But Brand New Day, it actually has more of that type of aesthetic in the movie. So it's just kind of funny that it's almost like Disney and Marvel and Sony are sending more people, trying to send more people to Universal than they are Walt Disney World. And of course, they have not been able to work out any of these contracts. All they have over there at Walt Disney World with Marvel is Guardians of the Galaxy. I think there was even some type of a thing where they were trying to use a Marvel wrap once on a monorail, and they had to not run it into Epcot because then it would go into a park. It was such a
they actually got
convoluted.
They actually got away with that. They could run it through Epcot. I think they couldn't use it for Disneyland, but that monorail wrap was the Avengers wrap you're talking about, which included the Hulk,
2012.
Yeah. And so it like you said, it's very convoluted. It's the least convoluted deal is the one that they have with James Cameron's Lightstorm for Avatar, but that's a whole other conversation.
Well, let's talk though, Culture, about how much worse this gets, because X-Men is their next big thing. I mean,
they them.
Oh, I'm sorry. X-Men.
Yeah.
X-Men. That was launched now with Spider-Man. And Jean Grey starts it off, right? The new X-Men that they're going to go, like, that's going to be the whole Marvel universe. It's going to be X-Men, X-Men, X-Men. And Culture, they can't use that either. And Universal can't capitalize on that either, because Universal can't change anything. There's really not a whole lot of X-Men in the Marvel Island. And, over at Avengers Campus at Disneyland, they don't have room to do anything with X-Men. So, like, you're going to base this entire giant thing, X-Men, the whole future of Marvel, and there's nothing they can do in the theme parks with that either. So this just keeps getting worse and worse for them. That they've picked the wrong horses. They picked Star Wars. They picked Avengers. But right now it looks like it's Spider-Man and X-Men all the way.
They didn't pick the wrong horses. They ruined them. They
ran them into the ground.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars could have been great. A Star Wars land was something that everybody would have clamored for if it were done correctly, and it was just wasted.
Well, and they wasted Star Wars. So, Tom Holland talks about how he got online and listened to podcasts from Spider-Man fans. He did his research. He knew what the fans wanted, and they put that in the movie, and he had some creative control and was able to rewrite the script. He gave the fans what they want. Disney does the opposite with all of their franchises, right? Spider-Man is controlled by Sony theatrically. But Disney, what do? They say, oh, we're going to subvert your expectations.
They negotiated a new deal just a few years ago. I want to say 2019 with the Spider-Man deal on the, because they wanted 100% of the merchandise, right? So that merchandise is actually sold in Universal Parks in that comic book land area, which I find funny. But set that aside. But part of that deal just guaranteed these rights in perpetuity as it did before. So do you know who wins really when it comes to merchandise? It isn't the people who own the merchandise sales. It's the video game sales that Sony gets. Video games are vastly more valuable than merchandising rights.
Culture, do you know how that works in terms of, like, if they do a Spider-Man skin in Fortnite, does that go to Disney, or does that go to somebody else?
As far as I know, that actually goes to Sony. I think they have to develop that deal with Sony. Yeah, they control those rights. The merchandise rights are different. Those are Disney's. It's the same. It's like this. Okay, so with Disney, Sony, Disney puts in 25% of production expenses for this Marvel Studios co-production it has with Sony and Columbia, and then they get 25% of the studio take side of the equation as well. Sony's responsible for the other 75%. And in this last film, I will say they had a much more collaborative effort between everybody, because Rothman actually recently talked about that in an interview article that was written on it. But Tom Holland also had a very big role in the creative side of the equation.
He wrote the thing. Ultimately, this is Tom Holland's movie. I mean, he came in and said, I don't like this. I like this. We're going to change this. And he could do that because he's Spider-Man at this point.
So I want to ask you the question.
Mm-hmm.
for how long do you think Universal wants to stick their thumb in Disney's eye over the X-Men characters like Wolverine and for Hulk and
let me add that up real quick, Culture. Let me add that up. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Forever.
Okay, that's what I thought. And with the licensing deal they negotiated, they absolutely can do it forever. And it's like Disney just didn't go out and say, "Hey, I need this from you." Disney could have said, "We're going to give you so much money, it's unbelievable." Oh wait, they did that when they bought Hulu, which paid for Epic Universe, but nobody remembers that.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.